So on that note, everybody, I mean, it's time for what we have all been waiting. Before that, couple of instructions. It would be great if you could keep yourself on mute unless the speaker wants you to unmute and talk something or share something. And it would be really helpful if you guys have your videos on so that Ray knows that we are looking at him and we are really listening to him. And with that, let me introduce our guest speaker for today. First of all, thank you so much, Ray, again for joining so early in the day. It means a lot for us and everybody who's here. And with the humorous contest coming up, with both the club level area and the area level humorous contest coming up, I see a lot of people in here because they all want to learn. They all want to get as many tips as possible so that when they compete, they give their best. And so it's great to see people like preparing themselves with attending these sessions and then going for these contests. It means how seriously we are taking these contests. So introducing Ray. Ray is the District 57 Humorous Speech Contest winner. He gives workshops across the US, teaching America's business leaders to create better, happier, and more productive workers through humorous storytelling in their workplace. And he has a program called Leadership Through Laughter. He also has a blog, which I checked. It's a very nice blog, so you guys can read his blog, Leadership Through Laughter. And Ray calls this session the humor algorithm, and it deals with the 5 basic steps of understanding how to make anything funny. So I think if you listen to this, you have half your problems sorted for the contest. So with that, I'm not taking much time. I would like to call Ray on stage. A round of applause for Mr. Ray.
Well, let's kind of recap what I've learned so far. We've got Godzilla destroying New Delhi, breeding chocolates, amazing Legos, and I came all the way to India to get away from Donald Trump, and you brought him back to me. So what do you guys need me for? You know, this is simple. Thanks for having me. If I kind of nod off a little bit, you'll understand. It's 5 o'clock in the morning out here. Who here would like to be funnier? Anybody? Just raise your hand. Let me take a look. It was funny. I was looking at this little spread, and I was looking at a couple of you, and I thought, man, they are staying so still. You know, it's just a picture of somebody right there. But why do you want to be funnier? If you have a second, put it in the chat. What you think? What do you get out of being funnier? Just put a couple of comments in the. So is it Nitin? Is that how I pronounce it? Okay. Approachable. What else? What do you get out of being funny? Why worry about it? Grab attention, to engage, getting attention, all of it. Who doesn't like funny people? Make people happy, inspire, confidence while speaking. That's a good one. Get happy, bang, impress. People listen to you more attentively. Does anyone here, are you a manager or have people report to you? Anybody? Okay. If you're a manager and you have people that laugh at work, what you have are more productive workers, and you have more attentive workers that don't leave your company. So you actually make a lot more money by being able to do this. What laughter is, because what I want to do is I'm going to tell you what laughter is, and I'm going to tell you why it's important, and then we'll kind of break it down a little bit, and hopefully I get through the whole process here. But I may not be able to, because is most people involved in the tech industry in here? Would that be a good, okay. I can't take you and turn you into Robin Williams in one day, but if you're looking at it as like programming, I can get every one of you to at least the stage where you can put "Hello World" up on your screen. Okay, so that's what we're working with here today, and laughter. The importance of laughter in life is really it's instant acceptability, and on top of that, the brain waves of somebody who's laughing is exactly the same. They did a study on Himalayan monks, and the best meditators in the world have the same brainwave as people laughing. So it does a lot of good for you. It is instant acceptance. You've all met strangers, right? Sometimes it's wonderful, isn't it? Sometimes it's creepy. What's the difference between wonderful and creepy? Somebody comes up to you and just starts talking. Is it the tone that they use? What is it that creeps you out? Well, if you understand this question And I'm so used to working with live people. When you go back and forth, it's kind of hard to do it on Zoom. But if you understand this question, and here's what it is, it's not the tone. Because if I came up to you and I said, "Hi, what's your name?" That's magical, right? No? It's creepy? Well, what if I said, "Hi, what's your name?" That's even creepier, isn't it? So when people get creeped out, you see it in their face. And it's just a body language. What you see, there's a furrowing of the brow and your chin drops. So if you get creeped out by somebody, or you see somebody creeping somebody out, their eyes will furrow and their chin drops. And the reason their chin drops is that this is the most vulnerable area of your body. You are hardwired to protect your neck, because that's the fastest way to end somebody's body. Well, what happens when you laugh? You throw your head back. So what laughter really is instant acceptance. I'm saying, like, look, go ahead, Nitin, you can kill me if you want. Go ahead. There you go, right there. And the value of that is that the faster you get somebody to laugh, the more they're on board with you. And one of the reasons that, one of the quick little humor tips when you speak is if you can refer to somebody else's speech right when you start talking, it's funnier than any joke you could possibly write. So that's why I started talking about Godzilla and the Legos and the breeding chocolates and all those kind of things, and who doesn't laugh at Donald Trump. So it's just an easy, quick way to do it. But that's why it's important. It also helps people retain your information. And there's only one real reason to speak, and it has nothing to do with you. The reason that you speak, even in a humorous speaking contest, is to change the thought process of your audience. And when you do that, the laughter is like instant retention. There's a London Business School study of speech and how it works and how people retain it. If I just talk to you all day long, you're going to remember 3% of that. If I put a picture up behind me, which is PowerPoint, 10%. If I tell you a story, you remember 50% of it. If the story is funny, it goes up to 70%. So if you can incorporate humor into your presentation, it's going to be that much more retained by people. Now, here's the real tough question. What makes you laugh? Why do you laugh? Because here's the tip. Laughter isn't a gift. Creating laughter isn't a gift. It's a process, just like coding. You step 1, step 2, steps 3 lead to step 4. And the definition of humor, so you understand it. And is it okay if can I share my screen? Is that okay? Okay. So let me give you a couple of things that we can. Where are you here? Where did you go? Okay. So here's the definition of humor. And this comes from there's a place in Colorado called the Humor Research Lab, or HURL. And what humor is, it's a benign violation of a norm that surprises you. A benign violation of a norm that surprises you. Benign means not hurtful. So for example, if Ashwin and I are friends and we're walking down the street and we're just talking and Ashwin trips and falls, if he doesn't hurt himself, it's hysterical to me. If he hurts himself, it's not funny until the wound heals, and then I can talk about it and say, you idiot, you tripped and fell, right? So that's what benign is. It can't be hurtful. And it has to surprise you. Surprise is one of the most important things in all of humor. And here's the reason why: you can't tickle yourself. So it's a benign violation of norm that surprises you. And what else? Doing it, creating it is not easy. It's sloppy. And people want to do things with perfection. And there's a lot of cultures where, you have to get an A in everything. And creating humor is a sloppy process. And sloppy progress beats perfection every single time. So what you do, in order to be funny, you have to be ready for a 95% rejection rate. Because when you create humor, it's 1 out of 20. And that, so in a 5-minute presentation, if you were doing a straight stand-up set, you would have 21 jokes in there. And to get 21 jokes, you'd probably have to write 1,000. You know, well, maybe not that high. My math is bad, but it's a lot. It's a lot. Most amateurs will stop when they hit 15. They're trying to get 21. And creation is not neat. For example, our children are our creations. Let me give you an idea here. So what I'm going to do, and if you unmute yourself just for this, so we can have a little dialogue back and forth on this. I'm going to tell you a sentence, and I want you to describe the picture it creates. So the sentence is, my wife is an excellent housekeeper. What do you see in your head when I say that? What picture?
House, clean clothes.
Clean clothes. What's she wearing?
Normal housewear.
Normal housewear. Okay. And so the carpets, they're clean?
Yeah.
Are any of the pictures on the wall hanging?
No, it's all perfect.
All perfect, right? What does the outside of my house look like?
Clean garden.
Clean garden. Is there a white picket fence around it?
No, mine opens just outside to the doorway. There's no fence.
Okay, no fence, no fence. Very good. So this nice, well-kept person has this perfect house, and there's no dust anywhere. Is she smiling?
No, she's tired.
She's tired. Okay, very nice. But what I said was, my wife is an excellent housekeeper. Did I say any of that Nikita just said? I didn't, did I? But the mind goes there. And so when you give a speech, especially in a humorous speech, what you're doing with every sentence that you say is you're creating a picture in the audience's mind. And that picture is what you're going to destroy to get the laughter. And that's and it's tied around usually 1 or 2 words. So my wife is an excellent housekeeper. All these perfect little things that you see. And if I go back to sharing my screen for a second, it's not just words that we use, but that's all we're going to talk about today. So if you write the word awe, there's actions, words, emotions, and expressions. These are the tools that you can use to create a picture in your audience's mind. And we're going to focus on words. And the words you choose, there are 4 descriptors which make things funnier. And here's what I call them the 4 S's. And there's sights, sounds, smells, and sensations. So you have an opportunity to create sights with sounds and smells and sensations when you're talking to your audience. My wife is an excellent housekeeper. We've got this perfect house. She's tired because she's been working all day, but everything is perfect outside and inside, and it looks great. So what we did is we created an audience picture. Now, we're going to crush the audience perception of that picture. So this is an old joke that I gave you, right? My wife is an excellent housekeeper. The punchline is, my wife is an excellent housekeeper. When we got divorced, she kept the house. Okay? And what makes that funny, and this is what makes everything funny, everything you've ever laughed at is this one little piece in the middle called a two-way option. And in this particular instance, the two-way option is the word housekeeper. So housekeeper can mean cleaning. It can also mean keeping. And every sentence that you use has this two-way option that revolves as to why people laugh. Now, most of the things that you say, if you've been talking with a friend and go back and forth and somebody laughs, the friend says something that you interpret differently than they do, and your comment based on that is the two-way option that makes you laugh. But this process, so you've got what there is to a joke. There's a setup, which is the words that you use that create a picture. Then the punchline is the words you use to crush the picture, crush the perception of the audience, and it revolves around this two-way option. Does that make sense? Because this is where every piece of comedy comes from. Every time you've ever laughed, it comes out of this. Everything? Yeah, everything. What did I put here? Oh, that's the thing about the Himalayan monks. Okay. Now, unshare. So, let's do another one so you can get the idea of this. See, the hard part is really, and this is all I'm developing this program, and I've worked it out, and I've had like 5 different test groups, and the hard part is actually coming up with the first line. That's the hardest part, and there's another 5-step process to do that, but I don't think I'm gonna have. I want you to understand this process of the two-way option. To me, that's the most important thing. The fastest way that you can get funnier quicker is to look at life from a perspective of a two-way option. So the word ant. There's a company over in America called Geico. I don't know if you have it over there, but they're an insurance company. And they just came out, because I've been talking about this for years, this two-way option thing. And they just came out with a commercial that I think is fabulous. They have this young couple sitting in the sofa, and they go, "We just got a new house. It has too many ants." And then they show like their ants coming in, like, you know, Aunt Bethy, and oh, look at the fridge. There's so many expired products in here. Expired, expired, expired. And so the ants are not crawling up the wall. They're the people that are their relations. And that's an example of a two-way option. If I said, let's do this again. If I said, I've been seeing someone. What picture do you have in your head? Nitin, you're smiling. What picture's in your head when I say that?
Hallucination.
Is what?
Hallucination.
Hallucination. So I've been seeing someone. So you're going hallucination. What else you got? Anybody else got to see something different?
I thought Nitin was going to talk about his girlfriend.
Ah, okay. So if we say, let's put it on him. Let's put the whole thing on him now. Nitin's been seeing someone. You're thinking, you know, nice girlfriend. He's starting to date somebody, right? Is that where most of your minds go when you hear that phrase? Well, there's the setup. We created this picture. You know, Nitin's out there on the date, and you know he's holding hands or doing whatever, and it's all comfy, and you know that's so sweet. Look at him go. That's so sweet. Nitin's been seeing someone. Oh, punchline: you can't tell much with binoculars through Venetian blinds. So it goes from being a nice dating thing to a stalking thing right there. So these two-way options, the word mine can mean mine. It could be a hole in the ground that you dig to get gold and diamonds. It could be something that you use in war that you step on and explodes. These two-way options are the key to creating this. Questions about what I've talked about so far, because we want to make sure when you do this contest that you're all hilarious. Word of the day, points. Anybody got any questions about what we covered so far? Not a soul.
So Ray, all of these, they mostly, you take a word which might have a couple of other meanings, right? And then you try to interpret the most unheard or unthinkable meaning in that particular situation. But apart from that, in setup and punchlines scenario, is there any other way of doing it apart from the two-way option?
Well, sometimes the two-way option is an emotion. For example, the setup would be something like, my wife ran off with my best friend. Finally, okay, so there's an emotion that does it. My wife ran off with my best friend. Yeah, they're doing a marathon together. So see, there's all kinds of different two-way options in that phrase. So these two-way options are out there. There's no other way of doing it. It's always some sort of play. Now, comedy goes from good to bad and from bad to worse. So and it doesn't have to be a bad, horrible thing, but there is some opinion of negativity in comedy. I ran all across the world to India to get away from Donald Trump. So implied is that I don't want to be around Donald Trump. And when you choose your topics to speak about, since it is such a high failure rate, it better be something you like, because you're going to have to test these things out and try these things. You pick a topic that you have interest in, that you have passion about, but you see something wrong with. And it could be anything. So how you create this, I'll try and run through as quickly as possible. I'm giving you like 5 weeks of stuff in 30 minutes here. But you pick a topic, let's say cars, right? It's got to be a broad topic, but not the universe and not the thread on a sleeve. You know, it's got to be something that you can create subtopics in. So there's topics, subtopics. Well, if I say car, what do you think of? Windshield, seat belt, airbags, trunk, car salesman. It could be anything associated with that. So you write down lists of things that you think. Then what we do is we take that list, and the setup and punchline, we want to create these premises that will create those things. And this is I almost really shouldn't go into this because you're going to walk away confused. Just remember this two-way option thing. That's the key to comedy. But a negative setup option would be, let's take mechanics. Piece of my mechanic is dishonest. That would be a statement that's negative about a mechanic that we could make a punchline out. So it's a premise for a punchline. Then what you have to do is do the exact opposite of that. My mechanic is honest. So that's the steps of the creation. And then I'll get to the last one. But first is a topic, then you get subtopics, then we create a negative thought process about one of the topics, a positive setup premise on the same topic. So step 3 is the hardest one. Step 4 is easy because you're just reversing what you did in step 4, or step 3, I'm sorry. And then you've got to write 5 to 50 statements on this positive thing. So you have to show the audience that you think your mechanic is honest. That's the picture you're going to create. And then the punchline is going to crush that picture with that two-way option. So my mechanic is honest. Let's see, I'll make a drug joke. Okay, my mechanic is honest. He only gives me what I need. About an eighth a week. See, it's a drug joke, which is prevalent here in America. Okay. And remember, 95% failure rate in all humor. So you're making up at the top, you get 1 out of 20. That's pretty good. My mechanic sits behind me in church because he wants to catch all the dollars falling out of my pocket that he didn't get when he charged me. You know, something like that, right? And so that's an entire 5-week seminar in about 25 minutes without any practice or anything doing that. What you're doing, the most important thing to remember, this two-way option is what creates the humor, and it has to surprise somebody. When you do a punchline to a joke, it should be as few words as possible. And when you speak, there should be as few words as possible. The most important word of a sentence goes at the end of a sentence. And the most important word in a punchline goes at the end of the sentence. Otherwise, it's like you're speaking over the funny part. And what happens if you speak over your funny part, your audience learns your behavior that you make them. So if I say something and you start to laugh, my job is to shut up and let you laugh. Because what happens the next time is if I start to speak when you laugh, you learn that it's not that important for you to laugh, so you sit there and you smile. And what that does is it makes the speaker uncomfortable because he's just looking at people and they're having a good time. They love your talk, but they're just smiling at you. And you want that feedback of laughter. Also, it's a longer speech because now you're talking more, so you have to write more. It makes your speech writing harder. So when you say the joke and people laugh, you let them laugh, let it die down, and then speak again. If you speak while they're laughing, they're going to unlearn the laughing gene. And they'll start not laughing as much. Time never ends a sentence when you speak. So for example, if you watch the news, you will hear, and it drives me crazy, President Trump talked about the economy at Harvard last Thursday. That's not a sentence that I would ever say if I was speaking. Last Thursday at Harvard, President Trump talked about the economy. So the president talking about the economy is the most important thing, although with ours, I'm not sure it is. But it's, do you see where I'm going with that? Now, there's a great question from Ayush. In an online meeting, how do you know, how do you work without that response of laughter? It's very difficult. That's why when you do these meetings, if you are going to give, like when you do the humorous speech contest, it's probably pretty important to that speaker to have your face showing. Because I can tell from your face whether you're laughing or not, or enjoying it or not. Now, if you're doing this professionally and you're giving a talk, I spoke at Genentech a few months ago, and when I started talking, there was 150 people. I always use that little participants thing right there. And when I first started talking at Genentech, there was 150 people. When I stopped, there was 180 people on there. So I did a good job at Genentech. Here, I think there was 48 when I started. There's 44 now, so I'm not doing as good a job today, but I'm writing that off as being at 5 in the morning. So it is tough, but you learn to figure that out. You just have to adapt to it because it's not going to change anytime soon. Okay, so that's kind of the rough outline of being funny. So Lakshmi's given the red card. Does anyone have any short, specific questions for me? How can I help you out? Does anybody have anything they're working on they want to get advice on? Because I believe I got a couple minutes for question and answer. Yeah, Ashwin, I noticed you unmuted.
Yeah, so in Toastmaster contest, at least here, I don't know if that's the norm in all Toastmaster contests, we have certain rules which says don't speak about politics, sex, or gender. And when comedy hits very well in politics, sex, and gender, no offense to anyone, but that's the bitter truth. So when we make our script, how can we make sure that we are touching some parts of this, but not really offending anyone? Like, what is that line that we can draw?
Well, there is a fine line, and the key thing is testing things out ahead of time. For example, when I did stand-up, I used to go, like, let's say, Ashwin, you were a friend of mine, I would come up to you, and here's how I test things. Because if I came up to you and I said, oh, Ashwin, I wrote another joke, you want to hear it? And, oh, no, shut up, right? But I would say this, I'd say, oh my God, last night on the Tonight Show, I heard Jay Leno say this. And I would say one thing from the Tonight Show and 3 things that I wrote. And to see if you would laugh, because you listen to those because you think it's coming from the guy on the TV. So you got to test. You got to test. Where is the line? It depends on your ability to handle the reaction. Now, a groan is not a reaction. It's not a bad thing because it's a reaction. And you can see that on the screen. It looks like, oh, right? And that's not bad. Silence is bad. And so what you do, for example, if you were going to talk about politics or sex or gender, what I would say is I would say something along the lines of, oh, you know, I've got a really kind of, you know, edgy second part to this sentence, but you guys are nice people, so I'm not going to say it. Then what happens is everybody goes, no, come on, do it. And if I say it and you are offended by it, you asked me to say it. So the onus is on you, not on me. And so that's a little trick that you can use. In contests, some people have an aura which makes them humorous automatically, even if their jokes are not that funny. How to beat that? Well, don't beat it, get it yourself. You know what that is? It's confidence. And it's confidence in speaking. You are the least important thing when you speak. The most important thing is how the audience is thinking when you're speaking. And this little thump in your chest that you feel when you walk up there, that's your best friend in the world, because that means you care. This thump, this is not your heart. It's your dreams knocking on your door. And you have to open up your heart to let your dreams in. Pretty good statement, huh? That's the key to it. Don't worry about you. Nobody cares about you. They want to hear what you have to say. They're your best fans. Do you want somebody to get up and talk for 5 to 7 minutes and be boring? No. No, they want you to be good. So just assume that you're good. And when you assume that you're good, you start to believe you're good, and then you are good. How do you, let's see, where else we have? An online meeting, how do you work with that? We talked about that one. How do you start becoming humorous? Start looking for different ways to look at life, meaning look for the two-way option in everything. I saw a guy walking down the street 2 days ago, and on the back of his shirt was a $10 bill. I immediately thought a couple things about that. There's a lot of different punchlines you can have for that particular frame. But I thought you have to look behind you in your past, or else you lose money in the future. So I went for a little bit of an inspirational note with that, right? But I look for things like that. Look at ants crawling up a wall and see if you can make an idea about that. You have to look at life through different eyes. Here's a sentence I would write down. Don't worry about the logic of the idea. Look to the logic of the words. Because once you separate the words out of the context, then you see funnier things. So look for that two-way option in context of the aura. You beat the aura, you beat the aura out of them. Okay, MMA, nice. How does one master? Yeah.
Sorry, go on. I'll ask after this.
Oh, I just said, how does one master the art of improvising? All improvisers that are good practice. And it's not like it came right off the top of your head. Robin Williams, one of my good friends, was his head writer. So some of those things that you thought were coming just out of the fly were actually pre-thought of. And anything you say once that's funny is funny again. Don't reinvent the wheel. See, creating this humor is a long process to get it, but once you have it, you got it for life. And a joke that works today will work 10 years from now. And when you speak, if you have something that, let's say you interview people and you want to put them at ease and have them laugh right away. Well, if I get somebody to laugh walking in an interview today, I can say the same thing to somebody next month and a year from now, and I've got a valuable tool that makes people feel uncomfortable, talking to me. Do we use a lot of punchlines in our speech, or a good story and one big punch at the end? Here's the thing. More laughter is generally better. The mistake people make in a humorous speech contest is to get too much laughter, though, because you have to have a point. And with your speech, if you can't tell me what the point of your speech is in 10 words or less, you haven't got a speech yet. Because if you don't have that clarity on what your message is in your speech, and you can't say that to me, how am I going to understand it as an audience member? So you've got to think, what do you want the audience to do, think, or feel in 10 words or less after you're done speaking. And if you can say that, then you have a speech. You have something that's viable that you can go forward with. If not, you have to reevaluate what the message is. Okay. Now, you started to say something. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So what I do when I craft a speech is, if I am not able to get jokes spontaneously, I have a normal speech and then I look for jokes in the draft that I've written. The problem with that is the more you look at it, the more angles you will find, but also the jokes will be slightly lesser funnier because you have been saying it in your head for a long, long time. How do you keep it funny in your head, even after you've practiced it like 1,000 times?
Well, it's not my head that matters, it's yours. And so you have to realize that, oh my gosh, they're going to get an opportunity to hear this joke for the first time. And the thing is, an easy way to get more humor into your speech, the biggest problem that people do is they narrate. I was working with a lady yesterday. My 9-year-old granddaughter looked outside and told me that it was the zombie apocalypse, right? And I said, well, no, have her tell that to you. Does he have a nickname? Abby is the nickname. She goes, Abby, zombie apocalypse. And when you have a kid say it with the nickname and mispronounce the word, it becomes funny. Her explaining to me that her 9-year-old looked outside because we had it looked like Mars out here where I live for a couple days.
Yeah.
And so that makes it much, much funnier. So uncover the humor in it through dialogue. You should never be the funniest person in your speech. You should let the funny lines come out of somebody else's mouth. Does that make sense? Think Yoda. Yoda has all the wise lines and the funny lines in Star Wars. He doesn't say them himself. You know, he's the wise person. They're like Han Solo is the funny person. You know, they're the main character. You're the main character in your speech, but you should be the dumbest, least funny character in your speech. Everything around you should talk. When you're stuck to try and who do I get to say this? You can have an inanimate object be a character in a speech. I walked past a sign in a hotel after I've been traveling all day, and the sign was at a restaurant, and it had a picture of ice cream covered with hot fudge. And when I walked past that sign, the hot fudge spoke to me. It said, come on in. If you eat this, you'll go into a sugar rush, you can work out harder, you know. So the hot fudge is telling me what to do and what to say. It's not me saying, well, I should go have a hot fudge sundae, right? Okay, anything else here? Creating content in a language which is not your mother tongue is really, really hard. Because in mother tongue, you can easily play around with the language. How do you deal with it? You celebrate the fact that it's not your mother tongue and you make mistakes and you let the audience laugh at your mistakes. Because here's the thing, an audience doesn't want perfection. They want your presence. They want to know what you're seeing, thinking, and doing. So if I was speaking to you and I forgot what I was going to say, you've seen it happen in Toastmasters, right? Someone blanks out. Well, what do they do? And a lot of times they blank out because they bring the notes up to the with them. Here you can hide notes wherever you want in Zoom, right? But if you have the perfect word sitting right there, you're going to go, oh my God, the perfect word is right over here, and you're going to forget what you're saying. If you forget what you're saying, let the audience know what you're going through. Because here's what I say if I ever forget what I'm saying. Wow, right now would be a great time to remember the rest of my speech. And you get a laugh, and they're with you, and they just want you there. You're there for them. And I got the red card, so I think that's all I got time for. Thank you, guys. Hopefully you got something out of that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ray. So just to ask you guys, what is the best piece of advice or what is the best tip that you have got from Ray today? Can somebody unmute? Like 3 or 4 of you can go. So we'll see how many of you paid attention and how many of you prepared for the contest.
The two-way option.
Nikita was jumping because she didn't want anyone else to say that answer. Anybody else?
My biggest was that you can't tickle yourself, because that just makes a lot of sense, because we have been doing that since like forever.
I
Anyone else?
really like the quote that you used before you go to do something. Your heart beats, it's like your dreams are knocking. So I've never heard something like that before. So that was really nice.
Thank you. That's out of my favorite speech.
One
Yeah,
last tip that you guys got? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I would say that don't play dumb. You are the smarter person. Make someone else dumb, and then make fun around it. So that keeps your reputation alive as a contestant. Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay.
And here's one thing else because a lot of times when, if I have more time to speak, I kind of tell you a little bit about the background I have and where it comes from. People, oh, it's easy for you. Well, when I was a kid, I used to wear a bucket on my head because I didn't want you to see me, so you wouldn't talk to me. That's how shy I was. I used to hide out inside my mom's wraparound skirts when I was younger. So I went from talking to no one in school for 5 years to stand-up comedy, writing for the Tonight Show, Toastmasters stuff, things like that. So if I can do it, you can do it too. Humor is not a gift. It's not anything special. It's a process that you learn how to follow. It's just like coding or anything else. If you follow step by step, it works out. So don't get discouraged. You just have to take those steps. You can, anything you want that, as far as speaking is concerned, you can get whatever you want. It's just a question of the price you want to pay and how much time you want to put into it. It's totally up to you. Okay, soapbox done.
Thank you. Shikhar, did you want to say something?
All I was saying was I'll check my bag for the $10 note.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Ray. Again, thank you so much for being. I think one great tip that I got, because everyone said the other great tips, is that all of you are on Zoom. You know where to keep your notes. Just saying.
Yeah. Post-it notes are great. You can fill the whole screen if you want to.
Okay, so a small request to everyone, because what happens in an educational session is another bitter truth. Once the guest speaker is done, nobody wants to listen to the team, or they all drop off slowly. So before you guys drop off, I would request all of you to turn on your videos so that we can take a screen grab of all of you for our social media platforms. Nitin, are you?
I will take one. Can we all smile as if this was a humorous speech contest final in the District 92 or 98 or 57? Yeah, can we all smile?
Or you've got breeding chocolates.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I can say today,
Yes. Go ahead.
Today that I went to India and I discovered breeding chocolates. So that's cool.
Thank you once again, Ray. Thank you so much for joining in so early. It means a lot to us again. And thank you for giving us these tips. I'm sure everybody over here came because there was a contest and they wanted to learn something from people who have proven themselves in this field of humorous speeches. So thank you once again on behalf of everybody who's here.
Thank you, guys.